April? It's your turn.
I, Jill Owen, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Michigan, the city charter and code of ordinances for the city of. I will faithfully discharge the best of my ability.
I do.
Thank you, Miss April. Right. See who was here. Mr. Bremer, we heard anything? Okay, well, he may show up here in a minute. Mr. Clayton is here. Mr. Marvel. Here. Shandell.
Here.
Miss Owen. Here. And Mr. Nixon is here. I just messed up, so hold on. I always forget about that thing. Okay. All right, we have Miss Darla, our city manager, and Mr. Moore, our planner tonight. All right, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from February 3rd, 2026?
I'll make that motion.
I'll support it.
We will, have a motion to approve or deny. So all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. We need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
All right. And again, we will have a, why does those words keep leaving me?
Vote.
A vote, yes. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, next we get to public comments. Those citizens wishing to speak on agenda and non-agenda items will be allowed a maximum of 4 minutes each to address their concerns. This is the only time during the meeting that citizens are allowed to address the Planning Commission. Please state your name and address for the record if you would like.
My name is Rose Powell and I live in Cedar Springs. And congratulations, Jill, for stepping up and doing the Planning Commission. I think this, in my experience, was the best way to learn how to be a city councilor. Because it's a lot of heavy lifting. This is where the questions come first. You guys get to hash it out and pass it on to city council. And I really appreciate it. I think for my first 10 years at city council, I went to almost every Planning Commission meeting. And it was very helpful to me to make those decisions. So anyway, I appreciate all you guys on Planning Commission. And I'm just here and glad to be here, and I'll see you again. Thank you.
Rose. Oh, Mr. Marty.
First off, Martin Fraser, 27 West Cherry, retired fire chief. I can't believe they give this guy to my right sergeant stripes, but that's okay. For the Planning Commission, I know, well, 2 out of 5 isn't bad, I guess. The switching from B2 to mixed use gives me a little bit of concern. I'm kind of wondering how that's gonna affect me as a homeowner taxpayer. And assessments and taxes and that assorted things. And I took the liberty of going through the computer at home and I found this list. Well, in my mail, I got my tax assessment valuation and property classification, and my partial identification number is on here with, I don't know whose address. It's not my address, but the parcel number is correct. So they got it as 27 North Second Street. I live on Cherry Street, have since 1972. So I don't know if the planning commission wants to deal with that or something I bring up with city clerk or manager or whomever, DPW supervisor. I don't know. I don't suppose anybody on the board can enlighten me a little bit on switching from V2 to MU is going to affect me as on the only one on that block.
Can you answer that?
Yeah. Mr. Moore, if you could take that, please.
So I can't speak to whether or not it would impact like the property value. What we're trying to do by making this change is to address a lot of the properties that are currently non-conforming. So there's a lot of properties that are zoned commercial, but they're not used for commercial purposes. Presently, they're houses in most cases. And so by changing it to mixed use, we're making it so that your house is no longer non-conforming. It would be compliance with the zoning ordinance. It would be easier to sell, to do improvements, to get insurance on them and things like that. So the change that is being suggested and talked about here is something that we're trying to do, honestly, to try to make everyone's lives a little bit easier, to eliminate some of the conflicts that we find in the zoning ordinance presently. There's a lot of houses that are zoned commercial, and so we're trying to fix that.
You didn't sell used cars before, have you?
Nope.
Okay. I think that's all I've got unless the board has anything for me. I'm gonna step over and see the clerk just for a second.
The one thing I would add about the conflict with the address and the property number is probably an assessing question, I would guess. So I would ask the city assessor. That's something that they can rectify.
When,
I'll grab Brian's card for you. Brian Jager, I'll grab him. Tommy, to make sure you can. read
is it on the counter out there?
Yeah.
I'll snatch one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Nixon, you're still home, right?
Hello, my name's Isaac Carr. I live in Cedar Springs here, grew up here. And in relation to that mixed use to residential discussion, as Mr. Moore had said, it would smooth things out quite a bit with buying and selling properties that are currently zoned in the B2 district. I recently went through a purchase of a home that I was not able to get a mortgage on because it's currently non-conforming. And we made it work, but I know like in the future being able to sell that home or for other people buying homes, it's difficult to get insurance. People aren't going to get, the sale price that they want when buyers are not able to get mortgages. But yeah, happy to be here. That's about all I had to say. Thank you guys for hearing me out.
Anybody else in the audience wishing to speak?
I'm Angelica Gonzalez. And so I guess the reason for me being here on, we're at 25 and 23 North Main. So everything on Main Street stays the same? That's the C2 is not being changed at all. It's just So it's-
Right.
it's-
Yeah.
Okay, so any apartments or nothing that's not
Yeah,
calculated?
anything that has frontage on Main Street is not gonna get changed.
Okay.
It'll stay B2.
All right, thank you.
That is from like Second Street and back that way or First Street. So we're going away from Main Street here. Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Miss April, is there anyone online? Okay, seeing that, I will close public comments. Conflicts of interest and ex parte communication. Seeing none? Okay, so we don't have. Site plan reviews. So I guess we'll get right down to 10A, which will be the B2 Central Business District discussion regarding the zoning change.
Included in your packets, a couple of things for consideration. There is a draft zoning map amendment.
Mm.
That is, looks like a bunch of incomprehensible, legalese. This is what basically is gonna change all of those properties as identified by the property ID from B2 to R1 or B2 to mixed use, depending on which side of the street it's on. So that's just kind of here for reference. You don't have to act on this tonight. The main purpose for the meeting tonight and for Darla sending out the letters to everyone who received them was basically to make sure that everyone is understanding what we're doing, why we're doing it, and to sort of make sure that we're not gonna, cause any foreseen problems that someone could otherwise easily point out to us. So we have the amendment. There's a table that contains the property ID, the address, zoning, and then the proposed zoning. So that just kind of walks through all of the changes that we would make, and then there's a couple of maps that kind of show the same thing. So moving forward, if you are comfortable with what's being suggested, we can schedule a public hearing for the next meeting. No action is needed tonight because this is a map change, so we'll have to notice it and go through that process. So again, as we talked about a couple of months ago, we really wanted to take our time with this process because it's something that, we were anticipating getting some people's attention downtown. So other than that, unless there are changes or suggestions from the planning commission on properties that should be added or removed from the list, I don't have anything further on this. So this was kind of a opportunity for the public to hear what we're proposing and for us to hear any of their concerns or questions.
What we're seeing so far?
So, yeah, what I looked through and read through the last week, it's pretty straightforward.
Yes. One of the things, as a gentleman in the audience brought up and Mr. Morris discussed, is people getting loans for houses and stuff has been kind of difficult, especially if they have the B2 designation on them, because that would be commercial. So then they have to come ask for special land use, stuff like that. So then changing it to mixed use or going on the east side to R1 would make it a lot simpler. And then those houses won't be locked down into that. Sounds good to us, apparently. I was just explaining some things to Miss Owen there. Sounds good. I think we go ahead with next month's meeting and we'll do that.
The one question I do have is mixed use. Somebody's house is in mixed use. Does that make a getting a loan easier. It's not considered commercial at that point, but it's also not residential either. How does the bank gonna look at that for?
Bank isn't gonna necessarily look at the title of the district. In the mixed use district, it permits both single and two family by right. So a single family house is permitted by right in mixed use. It's also permitted by right in R1. It's not permitted by right in B2. The issue comes in. And though we change it to mixed use, if it's currently a house, that then becomes a conforming property because that use, family home, is permitted in that district. So that non-conforming use issue just goes away. That's what makes it easier for people to buy and sell the house because you don't have to. Because the question that comes up is a mortgage lender or an insurance company will say, well, if this house, God forbid it burns down, can I rebuild it? Right now, the answer is no. That means that people don't really want to buy those houses because it's a much bigger risk than they would otherwise be willing to take on. Or everyone, for the most part, needs financing to buy houses. You need insurance, etc. So this helps to solve those problems. So what we often see in situations like this, not just in Cedar Springs, but all over the place, is that when they are in this kind of non-conforming status, they will just kind of sit there. They will sometimes there will just be disinvestment. They won't be transferred. There won't be improvements made to them. Something that is necessarily going to be able to be sold. Appreciation happen as much. So this is something that we're trying to do just to again sort of get properties moving again. Allow for the flexibility that people need to be able to property to buy and sell, things like that. It's part of what kind of keeps the city moving forward and keeps new residents coming in. Process easier, not more difficult.
It was mixed use, more like single or double or multi-family residencies or is it commercial and residential?
So it allows both for commercial and for residential uses. And that's why we call it mixed use. So on the east side of Main Street, we're looking to make those properties R1 because that's what is pretty much all of the neighborhoods off to the east of that are all R1. The west side is a little bit different because we have a bunch of businesses over there. We have some industry that's backed by where the trail is. Kind of just an interesting mix of things going on there. It's not just exclusively single family. It's not just exclusively business. So a number of years ago, the city took the step to develop a district that would permit both of those things. You could have single family or you could have two family. You could do multifamily as a special use, but you can also do some kind of limited small scale activity as well. So it's kind of a flexible district that kind of serves as that transition between the industrial zoning to the west and the downtown zoning that we have along Main Street. Kind of that transition area where there are more options, frankly, in that mixed use district that you would have in either industry or in B2. So this is, again, trying to make it easier for, again, most of these are houses, and we want to, again, make those houses legal and conforming. If in the future someone wants to change that from a house into an office or something, they could probably do that. But we want, at a minimum, we want to at least be able to allow the house to continue to exist. But now have it be a non-conforming.
Figure we just tell you, we'll just send it along for next month and yeah.
We'll have a hearing for next month, so we'll get the notices set. And if the next meeting, then you can make the recommendation for adoption to the city council. If you're comfortable with what.
That sounds good. I like that. Because we had the mixed use before, and then for some reason it disappeared. Now we're getting it back. I don't understand it, but
It's always been there. We had talked about taking a mixed piece out of the master plan, I think at one point, as we were developing that process, we did end up putting that back. The
That's it.
been there for a number of years now, so that's not, yeah, that's not going away, we're just actually doing it. But
All right, so we will have that to look forward to at our April meeting. Any other discussion on that? None?
Can make comments on this. They can make comments on this too if they wanted to. At this point,
I mean,
okay. I thought we were having like an open discussion with them too, or the.
Sure.
if somebody had something, we could.
Okay.
But that's what the, all right, so we will go to the master plan. We have a zoning ordinance amendment recommendation.
So starting on page 15 of your packets, you will find that updated audit that we presented to you at the last meeting where we went through the zoning ordinance section by section. Just kind of highlighted what we see as some of the important issues and challenges that we think need to get fixed in your zoning ordinance to make it work better. I asked kind of how you wanted to tackle that. So that's what we did. So on the final page of that, page 4, it's page 18 of your packets. There is a prioritization table that we put together. These are simply our suggestions, but we kind of lump these into sort of high, medium, and low priority. So the high priority level items, which there are 4 of them, which are removing section 32-543 pertaining to the reversion of rezoned areas, revising 32-701 to remove the appeal of a special use to any agency in the city, prohibiting use variances, and then expanding the nonconformities chapter. Those are kind of the major issues that we've flagged pretty early on as these are things that we need to fix. I think in most germane to this conversation that we're having about the downtown zoning and nonconformities, that last one, expanding the nonconformities chapter, is gonna also solve a lot of these same problems when we're talking about people who can't sell properties and can't get insurance or can't get a mortgage and things like that. Changing how we deal with nonconformities is gonna go a long way to making that problem maybe not completely gone, but it'll help a lot. So those top 4 things are kind of our most important issues. The medium priority ones are more related to either implementing the master plan or just kind of working to make the ordinance a little bit more readable, a little more simplified, things like that. Those we can tackle later on. And then the lower priority items are things that would be helpful, maybe not super necessary, but again, kind of more just simple usability thing, but things that we can function perfectly fine the way that it is for another year if we have to. So what we would propose is probably write 1 or 2 amendments that would tackle those 4 high priority items and bring that back for your consideration at the next meeting. The first 3 are honestly going to be very simple. It's just like delete this sentence or delete this paragraph or add this sentence. It's going to be very simple, short types of changes. The last one about expanding that non-conforming chapter is going to be pretty lengthy. Right now you have a half a page maybe in the zoning ordinance that deals with non-conformity, so that's going to get expanded into a much longer set of standards that gives guidance and clear direction as to what to do and how to handle all these situations that come up when a building doesn't meet a setback or when a use isn't permitted in that zone. What do you do? Right now, we don't really have any guidance. We don't have any options. So the answer by default is just kind of, well, no, you can't do that. That's not really an ideal answer from our perspective. So we're going to add a lot of language to try to solve some of those issues moving forward. So our suggestion would be to tackle those first 4 and kind of get it moving for the next couple of meetings. you guys want to tackle any of the other items that aren't in that top four, we're happy to do that as well. Like I said, I'm not married to this list at all, but feel like this is a reasonable.
I'd recommend you go ahead, take those first four, make the changes you would recommend. We should be able to knock them off next as approval of that. And then why don't you take the top four of the medium ones and give us a little more to chew on next meeting as well. Otherwise, we're just gonna be wordsmithing back and forth. You're the pro, so.
Yeah, and some of these,
Prepared.
the work on the non-conforming chapter, we will need your input on, and some of the other items I think too will need, there's some policy stuff in there that we'll definitely look to you guys for some guidance on, because, you are the planning commission who's making decisions and are responsible for this. I'm just here helping you. And I don't want to be the one who's making the decisions for you.
I want you to make the decision for me.
We will provide you for suggestions, and you can choose to accept them or not.
Everybody good with that if they just went with the high and looked at that? And all right, that sounds good to us. You know that non-conformities, expanding that is going to be fun. Okay, next is our joint meeting with the Solon Township Planning Commission. That is March 31st, 2026 at 7 p.m. Know where the new sheriff's office is? Okay, yes, it'll be there at 7 p.m.
I will be out of state. Day.
We can get you marked as excused. Thank you, Ms. Shendo. Anything else about that at all, Mr.?
Packet, you'll see a map, 425 agreement area sidewalks. You had asked, Mr. Moore to combine two maps last month into one. So this identifies existing sidewalks, missing sidewalks. Put that in the packet for the March 31st meeting. Probably along with that comprehensive sidewalk proposal that we've already sent to Solon Township for their consideration. Has a lot more information in there.
A lot of the red that's on the south side of 17 Mile, I think a lot of that is actually property you can't even put a sidewalk on. Because if you go from White Creek and go east, and that's the gas station on the corner, that's just a big, huge gully. And then you've got isn't that a swamp? West Street and up to
There's a strip of grass there. We have the welcome to the city sign. There's probably room for a sidewalk there. Mm-hmm.
well, I mean, I was looking at it, I'm like, well, a sign is one thing, but then you put down, hundreds of pounds of concrete. I'm like, that's swamp. I just didn't know how wet that ground was. I have no idea. Okay. We appreciate the map, though.
What was the name of that grant that you said at the last meeting?
CDBG. So what I was gonna propose, I have the city's engineer giving us kind of scope for them to do a high level feasibility analysis of this kind of stuff. Solon Township helped us pay for that. We could at least get that step done.
From Fishback? Okay.
If they don't, we're gonna have to decide if we want to do it on our own or not. But if we knew the analysis of what this project entailed, my plan would be to apply for a CDBG grant, community building development. That's the sidewalk grants we've received in the past. There is, you get more points if you, the more you contribute to the project. But I think the key for this is two communities coming together for a joint application. I think we would score maximum points in that area, especially for the safety that this would bring. But we need some steps before we even apply for the grant.
It's, yeah, perfect plan.
How else we would fund a project like this?
That's going to be the only way, is working together and trying to get grants. That's the only way.
Walk between where the new hotel is and where the new development's going in.
Yeah, because if you look at the red, you'll see that the red means there's no sidewalk. And on White Creek, there's nothing. So,
I just really hope we can get this done. It's been,
not only White Creek, but when you look at Pine and you go east on Pine going towards CTA, there's not one there, Miss Owens. So that's one of the things that Mr. Braden has brought up, you know, the kids going to school there. So that's one of the big priorities right there too. Past the hotel. Alrighty. Miss April, is there anything we need to do with the calendar or the minute index? Okay, thank you.
What, are there other issues that the city wants to address that are kind of hot buttons that this joint head with the township meeting? Instead of going in and sidewalks obviously at the top of the list, and we want to focus on that and push that, because do they have anything that they're gonna start throwing at us?
The only other thing we identified last year that there's gaps in between our plan and their plan is uniform signage in that commercial district. They allow certain things, we allow certain things, and it's not all
Okay.
on that language. And
This is first, and then we'll get then we'll work about signage, but okay. I just don't want to walk in and have them, you know, jump on us or us forget to take something in front of them that needs to be initiated conversation.
not that I'm aware of.
All right, we are to staff comments. Miss Darla?
The only thing I wanted to talk to you guys tonight about, we have a lot of new faces on the planning commission, and I contacted Michigan Association of Planning. It's a group that I'm a member of, a group that Mr. Moore is a member of. I think this needs to be a special meeting. We have, if we want to tackle rewriting the zoning ordinance and this list, that's going to take up our hour and a half regular monthly meeting time frame. What are your thoughts on another night, maybe later in April, maybe May, to have either somebody from Michigan Association of Planning or Mr. Moore could do the planning for us through Michigan Association of Planning? Hour and a half, would be a good time, or doing
Yes.
2 hours?
MAP has a bunch of like pre-design workshops. So one of them is 2.5 hours. And then the other one, they might both be 2.5 hours. So they have a couple of different options in terms of just how long do you want the meeting to last. So yeah, so if you sign up for this, a special meeting would probably be best, because if you go for a couple hours on meeting, you'll be very tired.
Yeah. Won't want to do the regular business.
Right after that. Yep. So interested in keeping everybody engaged and everything. I do work with MAP quite a bit, and I teach classes for them every once in a while in communities all over the place. So I would be happy to teach yours, or if you want to have somebody else and have a different perspective, that's fine as well. They have, there's a bunch of us consultants around town that they can ask to step in and teach the class for you, but obviously we're also happy to do it. So if you guys are agreeable with that, yeah, we just have to pick a date that would be different from your regular meeting and let MAP know and kind of go from there.
Tuesday night's good for me.
6 o'clock instead of 7, or
If it's after tax time, then I'm fine on Tuesdays.
okay. 6 to 8, 8:30.
Fine.
Any other, so after April 15th, any other? I think spring break should be done by then, right?
I think March 31st, I think spring breaks after March 31st, so yeah. We're right around in there.
So maybe we'll look at our calendars, pick a couple Tuesdays, send a Survey Monkey to you guys, what Tuesday works best. Wherever we can get the most amount of people. Maybe we can, so we do have a vacancy on planning commission, maybe we can work the next 4 to 6 weeks to maybe get that filled. So we'll have a full board. If not, I mean, it'll be good either way, so. Other than that, we'll have one more meeting, regular April planning commission meeting will be in this building. The construction project is still on schedule. Construction should be done the first week of April. I'm gonna ask city council to close city hall the second week of April, the 13th through the 16th, I think it is, for us to physically move. So we'll have a lot of setup to do in the new building, move the server, get all of our computers set up, whatever. So April will be the last regular meeting here. All future meetings will be at the new building.
Did you make sure to get my throne set up high?
Nope, haven't done that.
That's exciting. That it's almost time to be open.
It's looking really nice, really nice.
All right, comments from Miss April. Planning commission members, any comments?
No comments.
Mr. Braden, city council representative.
Nothing for city council. Nothing.
Further.
And I will close this meeting at 7:39 PM. We are adjourned.